Welcome to the Executive Real Estate Investing Show. This podcast is for you, the busy business owner or executive looking to create generational wealth. Here, we're going to show you how to do that through real estate investing, from multifamily to industrial and everything in between. You will become a real estate investing expert. And now, here's your host, Michael Holman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Executive Real Estate Investing Show. I am your host, Michael Holman. Thanks for joining me. Like always, it is a pleasure being here with you. So, we've been doing a few shows. Hope you've been listening. Thank you to all the loyal listeners we have. We have been amazed by the amount of growth and the amount of listeners that have listened even just through the few episodes that we've done. So first and foremost, I just want to start this episode with a big thank you to you. We are starting to get reviews and ratings on Apple Podcasts and all of the other podcasts. We are very, very appreciative of that. And if you haven't had the opportunity yet, go check out executivereishow.com. That's Executive REI Show. REI stands for Real Estate Investing. So executivereishow.com. You can catch all the latest podcasts and all the previous podcasts. We have articles and blog posts. You can sign up for our newsletter and get weekly real estate investing news right in your inbox. You really have a lot of resources right at your fingertips there. So go check it out. Awesome website. Really, really impressed with everything that's been done there. And starting, as usual, we're going to start with the executive tip. So today's executive tip is establish relationships. Anyone who's been in business for a number of years understands how important it really is to be able to have good relationships with suppliers, vendors, all sorts of people that you can rely on. This is extremely, extremely vital to your success in your business and in real estate investing. And that is why today I want to spend the entire episode talking about relationships. Because one of the things that I found is that people getting started in real estate investing, they don't even really know where to turn. And one of the big first steps that you can take is understand the relationships that you need to be trying to establish. Because those relationships are what is going to propel you forward in your real estate investing career. And real estate, almost more than any other business, it is a relationship business. There is not hardly any that I can think of. I can't think of any real estate transaction that happens without multiple people involved. Even something as simple as closing on your primary home, right? You generally are going to have you're involved, a broker is involved, a broker for the seller is going to be involved, the seller's going to be involved, a lender's going to be involved. Like, you have at least 2 to 5 parties, even on one of the most simple real estate transactions that occur day in and day out. And so if you have that many relationships in a simple transaction like that, think of all the relationships you need if you're thinking about doing a larger, more sophisticated deal than just a rental property, a single family home rental. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So I'm going to talk about a number of key relationships that I think you need to establish and that I think are vital to your success as a real estate investor. Now, note that not all of these are going to be relevant to you depending on your situation, right? So I'm taking a shotgun approach here. I'm going over a broad number of potential candidates and potential relationships that I think you should be establishing. But if one of these doesn't make sense or one of these doesn't apply to you in your situation, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to establish a relationship with every single one of these people. So first one on the list that I think you need to establish a relationship with is real estate sponsors. We've talked a little bit about real estate sponsors in past episodes. Real estate sponsors are the people who put together real estate syndications. So this is specifically if you are interested in passively investing in real estate. I'm a huge proponent of syndications. I'm personally invested in multiple of them. I love syndications. I do syndications and I invest in my own and other people's syndications. If you're interested in investing passively, this is extremely, extremely important. The sponsor controls that entire syndication deal generally. So you need to have a relationship with that person. It amazes me, and I'm not saying you have to be best friends and you're going out to dinner every single night. That's not what I'm saying here. But you have to have a level of trust with that person. I mean, if you put in $250,000 into a real estate syndication, you're going to want some level of trust, some relationship established with that sponsor. If you do not have that, I highly, highly recommend establishing that relationship and forcing that relationship before you invest. I love the people. I mean, I have people invest with me all the time, right? And I would encourage and do encourage every single one of my investors at a minimum to have at least communicated with me at some point. And I'm going to encourage you, regardless of who you're talking to or what syndication you're planning on investing in, if you are planning on investing in a syndication, you need to establish a relationship with that sponsor. You need to have at least communication. At a minimum, send an email so that you know and ask a question so that you can get some response. I like to do 5 to 15 minute phone calls. So I want to be able to understand what that specific investor needs, understands. So that should be a priority. It really boggles my mind every once in a while when I see these sponsors who are trying to accumulate massive amounts of capital for their projects and do not want to take the time to even form or create a relationship with any of their investors. It's like, because I'm who I am, you should give me $500,000 and I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to think about you. I'm not going to say a word. And it's like, no, that's not how this works, right? That is putting too much trust in somebody. So if you are thinking about investing passively in a syndication, establish a relationship with a sponsor. And you don't have to follow one sponsor around. I mean, most people get comfortable with a sponsor and they follow them around, and that's great. But maybe you want to establish a relationship with 2 or 3 different sponsors. Fantastic. That's a great way to be able to diversify what you're doing. Sponsors focus on different things. So maybe you have one sponsor that focuses in on multifamily, and you have another sponsor that focuses in on industrial. You can have a relationship with both of those sponsors, but really, really important. So number one, and I say this very first because a significant portion of our listeners are interested in passively investing in real estate. That's why this one comes up. Number one. Now, the next one is huge. It's really, really important as well. And the next is to establish relationships with brokers. This is vital, right? And this covers the whole gamut. No matter what you're interested in, no matter what type of real estate you're trying to invest in, whether it's single family, whether it's a syndication, whether it's multifamily, whether it's self-storage, no matter what it is, there is generally always going to be a broker involved, or the way that you even find that deal is going to be through a broker. I mean, if your goal is to invest in single family homes, let's say that's where you're trying to get started. Having a broker who is knowledgeable in single family home investing and who specializes in that, who can bring you deals first before they go hit the general population, that is invaluable. And to be quite honest, in a lot of markets right now, that is the only way that a lot of people are getting any deals done. I mean, the real estate market's just so hot right now, especially single family homes in some of these areas. I mean, I have single family investors that are out there accepting negative cash flow on a rental property because they're just so desperate to get into it. If that's your goal, I mean, maybe you are really banking on appreciation, but negative cash flow, really? There's so many better options. If you feel like you are stuck and your only option is to buy a single family house that has negative cash flow, call me. I can make your life much, much better. And even if it's not me, I can recommend 100 other types of investments that don't have negative cash flow. If you are going single family, like I said, brokers, that is how you're generally going to find those good deals, and you need to be involved with them. And guess what? Brokers, especially the good ones, they have hundreds, if not thousands of people reaching out to them all of the time. So what are you going to do to stand out? How are you going to stay top of mind? Because as soon as that broker, I'm still going off a single family, but this a lot of this spills over into multifamily. And a lot of this is what I do. When a broker initially hears or gets a deal, the first thing that broker is going to do is they are going to be running through a list in their head. I can reach out to this person. I can reach out to this person. This person's probably going to do the deal. I know this person's looking. What are you going to do, and what kind of relationship are you going to have so that when that broker is going through that mental list at the very beginning, that they're thinking, I was talking to Michael last week. I know he's looking for a deal. I should call him. He might be an interested party, right? If you don't have a relationship, guess what? You're never getting on that list. That broker is trying to get that deal done as quickly as possible. And they know this. The sooner they get the deal done, the sooner they get paid. So they're going to try and get it done as quickly and efficiently as possible. So you need to establish a relationship, especially if you are doing any single family rental investing right now. Number one, go establish a relationship with a broker. They have the ability, they're doing this day in and day out to find you the best deals. But here's the thing, is that broker is just as important in essentially all aspects of real estate. It's insanely important in syndication deals. Sponsors, when they're trying to find, and let's take value add, for example. If your main thing as a sponsor is you like to do value add deals, you want to take existing buildings, you want to fix them up, you want to increase their value, raise rents, brokers are how that's getting done. I mean, I can't tell you the number of terrible deals I see hit the market. The good deals are getting done through the right brokers with the right people. And you have to stay top of mind. It's extremely important for me in development. In my development business, I am constantly looking for land, right? And I am looking for well-located land in growing areas that I think is going to be successful. And so some of the things that I do or are planning on doing, right, to stay in touch with brokers, I send out every single month. I go through an entire list that I have of all the brokers, and I send them an email. And I say, hey, I'm currently looking for this type of property, and this type of property. What do you have? It's amazing the kind of responses that you're getting. Because all of a sudden now, even if it's just for a split second, I came top of mind. Someone saw my email come through. That's one of the things that I do. One of the things that I also like to do, I send my list of brokers and the people who I work with generally, I let them know every time I close on a piece of property. We just closed on a $9 million property down in Arizona just a few weeks ago. First thing I do, I send an email out to all my brokers. Hey, we just closed this $9 million piece of property, right? It's 22 acres in Arizona. What do you have? You want to know why I do that? Because the best way to establish a relationship and gain the trust of a broker is to close on a property. Broker's biggest fear is they're going to spend 6 months with you and not close, and then they get paid nothing. You just wasted 6 months of their time. If you can prove that you can close on properties, and I would do this, right? Even if you're investing in single family homes, there's still an opportunity, right? There's still a number of brokers out there who potentially have deals. If you're interested in getting another deal, I say, why not, right? Send an email out to everybody and say, hey, I just closed on this property and I'm looking for another one. If you have anything, send it my way. You're going to have to wade through the garbage that will inevitably come, right? Because the thing about brokers to understand is for every one good one, there's 9 mediocre ones, right? So you have to find the good or great brokers out there. And they exist. They're all over the place. They're in every single market generally. You just have to find them, and you have to make sure that you establish that relationship with them. It's vitally important. They get the process started for you. And if you are one of those mediocre brokers and you are currently listening to this show, 1, kudos for you for expanding your reach. And 2, I can tell you from personal experience, if you work like crazy to become a good or great broker, it will pay pay dividends. So I just want to throw that out as a little side for any of the brokers who are listening to the show. Because last I checked, we do have a number of brokers who are active listening to this podcast and watching these YouTube videos. Okay, the next key relationship, lenders. If you are smart, and you can go back and listen to the episode on leverage to understand that phrase, your real estate deal will have debt on it. And debt represents a huge portion of the capital stack that's required to close on a property, to get into the real estate investment. And you have got to have a good relationship with your lenders. Even before you have a deal, that's okay. You can just say, hey, a lot of lenders, they might send out newsletters or they'll do market updates. Get on that list. Ask a few questions. Offer to take the account rep to lunch. Anything. Find a loan officer and say, hey, I'm looking to establish a relationship with you. Loan officers want nothing more than to establish a relationship with people who are willing, ready, able to put debt on their real estate investment. So it is super important to get that done and get that relationship established. When you're starting off and you're dealing with a lot of single family home transactions, especially through like the first 10, right? Where you can get the conventional loans, subsidized loans. Generally, lending is a fairly robotic process, right? I mean, there's lenders out there that's like, oh yeah, you're buying a home. You can do it all online. You don't even have to see a person. Well, guess what? That quickly changes the moment you start trying to ride with the big boys. I mean, I have a deal right now that's in progress that my lender, because I have a good relationship with this lender, they have come through for me time and time again. I have one deal that we are constantly pivoting, changing, especially right now with construction costs and rents and everything that's going up like crazy. And it just feels like it's all going up, right? It feels like the ground beneath this deal is just constantly moving and constantly changing. Because of the relationship that I have established with this particular lender, it has paid me dividends. There is at least 3 times throughout this process that most lenders would have probably walked. And they have stepped up to the plate time and time again. And it's because of the relationship that I have with them, right? I treat my lenders as part of the team, even though they have certain criteria and certain things that they have to get done. And sometimes that relationship feels a little adversarial. I always make it a point to try my best to treat the lenders like they are part of the team, because guess what? They are. And as many hoops as you have to jump through, and as frustrating as that can be, and the red tape that's involved, especially as you deal with bigger lenders, the relationships that you have will help cut through some of that red tape. The relationships that you have will help you be able to navigate, because they'll become an advocate for you and your deal. Super, super important. Next couple ones. So the next one is property manager. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We'll probably do an entire episode on this. And to be honest, it's something that I haven't had to establish too much because we do mostly in-house property management. Property manager is super important because they are the boots on the ground. They are doing the day-to-day, and the success of that real estate investment depends on the property manager, right? Maybe you're saying, oh yeah, I manage stuff myself, so I don't really deal with this. And that's fine, right? If that's you and you're saying, I have a great relationship with myself, I am the property manager, well, then great. But there's going to come a point, and we've already had this. I mean, we've had third-party property managers on a number of our projects, right? Sometimes it's just because we don't have the capability and we're expanding too fast on the development side. And sometimes it's just into a different asset class that we don't necessarily know or understand as well. So property managers, super important. And even on single family homes, the longer you own a single family rental, the more you realize you shouldn't manage that property and that you don't want to manage your property. Your time is generally spent better on other aspects of your investment portfolio. The next key relationship, contractor. And this is because most real estate investments have some form of construction involved in them. In my world in development, oh my gosh, the contractor is super important, right? I mean, I rely very heavily on the performance of my contractor. It doesn't matter if you're doing opportunistic, maybe you're doing value add, where you're trying to fix them up. Maybe you're trying to get into fix and flips. Even if you're just doing single family rentals, oftentimes you will have to come in and have some type of construction on that investment. Even if it's just to touch things up, even if it's to turn the property in between tenants, a contractor is likely going to be involved. And contractors can make your life very, very easy or very, very difficult. Not all contractors are created equal. And kind of like brokers, for every one good contractor out there, you have 9 mediocre ones. And so go ahead and work to find the great contractor and establish that relationship with them. I don't care if you have to take them golfing. I don't care if you take them to lunch. If you're doing enough business, you could take your contractor out to Roost Chris once a month. And if it keeps them happy, I guarantee you're going to stay a whole lot happier throughout that process. And that $300 you spend on that meal is not going to mean anything to you when your contractor comes in and performs on your $50 million construction build, or your $2 million renovation budget on your value add project. Okay, the next relationship is out of the box. It's probably not what you're expecting, and there's a good reason for this. So the next key relationship that you need to establish is other investors. And you're probably asking yourself, why on earth is Mike telling me that I need to have a relationship with other investors? Aren't I competing with other investors generally, right? Whether it's a single family home, I'm trying to get that over another investor. Or if I'm trying to be a part of a syndication, I'm generally trying to get there faster and quicker than all the other investors before it fills up. Why on earth would I want to establish? That's establishing a relationship with the competition, Mike. Well, here's why I'm saying this. Real estate investing is a pretty small world. And the longer you stay in it, the more that you get to know everyone involved. And those other investors, you quickly can realize, even if they're competing with you, are often there to help, support, and can even guide you through processes. I have never met or been a part of an industry that is so willing and happy to help others succeed. I mean, that's just evident. Look at all of the real estate investing podcasts out there, right? And all the people that do it. I mean, one of my very good friends, Neil Bawa, he is constantly giving stuff away, right? And he is a real estate investor, right? We do a lot of business together, and he is constantly giving away all the tips and tricks, right? Everything that he's using. It's no secret what he's doing, but that has made him exponentially better. That has helped make us and me exponentially better. Other investors open you up to new ideas, new possibilities, new ways of thinking. They can often help you through processes that you don't understand. And whether that's through finding a mentor who is another investor, whether that's just from being in the same room, going to a conference, I highly recommend. People often say, stay away from the conferences. They're just full of gurus. And some, yeah, I agree, some are. But when I go to a conference, it's usually 20% of it is for the information, because at this point, I have a pretty darn good understanding of what it takes to do my job and to do my business. The other 80% of the reason I go to the conference is because I want to network with other people who are like me. Because those other people have different ideas, different opinions, whether it's your ability to partner with people on other things, whether it's your ability to gain new insights and understandings. Because in real estate investing, a lot of it is you don't know what you don't know. And guess what? Surrounding yourself with other investors and other people who've maybe done more than you, even if you're not in a setting where you're just sitting down asking them a bunch of questions, maybe you're at a conference and there's a Q&A session, right? Or you have other investors who are part of a panel. They are inevitably going to share things with you that are likely going to help and benefit you. So if you want to get to the top of the real estate investing industry and your goal is to become truly ingrained and involved, and you're trying to take real estate and gain generational wealth, you're trying to use real estate as a tool to make you financially free, then you have to be able to network and have relationships with the other people around you, because it will exponentially help your growth, It'll help your learning, it'll help your network and your connections. Okay, those are all the key relationships that I think you need to work on establishing, right? And like I said at the beginning, some of them might not be completely relevant for you and your situation or what you're trying to accomplish, and that's okay, right? But I guarantee if you're in real estate investing, there's at least one or two of these groups that you need a relationship with, and a good relationship. Oftentimes, I hear people say, well, how do you know when you've established a good relationship? How do you know? I mean, maybe we talk once, a couple times a year. That seems, I have a relationship with that person. One of the good rules of thumb that I actually heard on another podcast one time is you can know that you've established a good relationship with somebody when you're able and frequently have conversations with them outside of their specific scope of business. Think about that. So let's say you have a lender. If you have a good relationship with that lender, there is likely a time or times that you are talking about something other than trying to obtain a loan. When that happens, in my opinion, that's when you can know that you've started to establish an excellent relationship, because it goes beyond just the business, right? You are trying to establish a relationship with that person. You're not trying to establish a relationship with a company who can supply you loans, right? And as soon as you take it down to a personal level, it becomes exponentially more meaningful and beneficial. And that person then can start becoming an advocate for you. And that is when you're going to start seeing your business. That's when you're going to start seeing your investment portfolio start to really thrive and grow and become everything that you've wanted it to be. So relationships are the key in real estate investing and in life. But specifically in real estate investing, if you want to succeed, if you want to thrive, focus on establishing appropriate and correct relationships with the right individuals, and it is going to exponentially propel you forward. Okay, thank you for listening, everyone, to today's episode. Once again, go ahead and make sure you check out the website. It's up, it's running, it's awesome. ExecutiveREIShow.com. Also, if you've been listening for a little while, please go leave us a review. We want to hear how we're doing, right? So if you listen on Apple Podcasts, go on, give us a rating, give us a review. We want to hear from you. That helps us. That helps you. We want to make sure that we're getting you the content that you want to listen to. Also, if you have any sort of questions, you can ask us a question that can be asked on the next Executive Questions episode. Just go ahead and click on that button. That's Executive Questions on the ExecutiveREIShow.com website, and we will work to try and get that answered on the next Executive Questions episode. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the Executive Real Estate Investing Show. Ready to learn more? Go to ExecutiveREIShow.com for more episodes and resources to help you create generational wealth through real estate investing. That's ExecutiveREIShow.com.